Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Bautista versus Oliveira. So, without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So we scroll on down. First fight on the card we have in the women's bantamweight division. We got Priscilla Cachoeira versus Claudia Sygula. And how do I feel about this one right here? I'm going low confidence. Sygula, definitely a momentum pick. Cachoeira is coming off a knockout loss. She's coming off a little bit of a decline here. She's coming off multiple losses. Just a one-fight losing streak. Not too crazy. But, yeah, Sygula seemed like a sharp enough striker. And I say she's so technical. But Cachoeira is primarily just a tank. And it's not really good at sound when a tank gets coming off a knockout loss. And, yeah, I think Sygula is sharp enough a striker that she'll be able to stick and move. Just got to avoid, staying in front of Cachoeira too much. It's not like Cachoeira got too much of a grappling game, so I feel like Sygula could try to mix that in too. Not to say that Sygula has such a great grappling game, that's why his confidence is low. If Sygula was a more established multi-threat, yeah, this would be an easier pick. Or if Sygula was some established stud, this would be an easier pick. But Sygula's not that good, Cachoeira's not that good, but Cachoeira does have the better experience, but she's on the decline. Sygula's trying to on the upcline a little bit, on the rise a little bit. And I think Sygula, keep her feet moving. Keep the strikes out there. She should be beat Cachoeira here. But I see a close decision. Cachoeira probably landing the heavier shots, but Sygula being a more consistent fighter. Not staying too stationary too much. Stand on her bike, land her strikes, and get it out of there. And beating Cachoeira by decision here. So, in this one, I got Claudia Sygula via decision. Now to the next fight we have in the bantamweight division. We got Gafurov versus Jacob Wiklacz. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go low confidence Gafurov to beat Jacob Wiklacz. So Wiklacz isn't the best striker, very awkward striker. But then Gafurov should have a decent striking advantage. Wiklacz is the much better grappler, but it's not like his wrestling is all that good offensively. Like I said, once he gets you there, he could be a problem, but offensively the takedowns aren't that great. And yeah, big strong grappler, but again, his wrestling's not that sharp. And his striking is very ocky. So like Gafurov right here to be able to address the grappling. He's like Ryu Nakamura, I think one of his recent wins. And what's his name? The Japanese fighter. Well, both guys are Japanese. But anyway, he fought like two Asian fighters recently. Not to say that Wiklacz is Asian or even looks Asian, but yeah, Gafurov fought some Asian fighters recently who had, similar backgrounds. Like he had a great wrestler in Ryu Nakamura. He pretty much shut down all his takedowns and outstruck him. One of the better prospects in the weight class in Ryu Nakamura. Or at least at the time, one of the better prospects in Ryu Nakamura. And who else he fought? Again, the Asian fighter had an extensive career in the UFC. Was a sizable grappler, pretty fleshed out striker as well. And Gafurov outstruck him, addressed the grappling. So Gafurov's actually on a streak of doing well against grapplers. So Gafurov's coming in here as underdog. I don't know if he's going to remain underdog, but he's underdog currently. And he's in a very good underdog spot. And also, again, a lot of these fights he's been there with these grapplers, he's been the underdog. And he's come out there and had statement performances. So this is kind of in that similar trend. He's going there once again with a grappler. He's like, in the last fights against grapplers, he's like 3-0 in dominant performances. And he's going to yet another grappler. And he's coming there as underdog yet again. So, I think like on his side, how many times I got to show you that I am currently doing very well against this style of fighter. So I think Gafurov can address the grappling, pick apart on the feet. I think Wiklacz will be tough, and I think he'll keep the grappling threat there, so Gafurov won't be able to get the finish or really get too close to the finish. But I do think Gafurov wins the decision. I think it's a close competitive fight, but Gafurov addressing the grappling and keeping his fight where he wants it and having great success with his striking and beating Wiklacz here by decision. So in this one, I got Gafurov via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the women's flyweight division, we got Wang versus Eduardo Moura. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I got Wang, average confidence to beat Eduardo Moura. I think Wang addresses the grappling of Eduardo Moura. I don't feel like Moura's offensive wrestling is all that good. And I think Wang will be the physically stronger fighter. And I don't think Moura will be able to deal with the pressure of Wang and the striking of Wang. Once she started to get put on the back foot, started to get cracked with good shots, and the takedown she's not having the takedown success she needs to have. Not even just a want, but the takedown success she needs to have. She started to get put on the back foot, started to get cracked on the feet. I don't really see Eduardo Moura really lasting too long. I can see her surviving the first round, just holding on for her dear life, maybe not even getting the takedown, trying to clinch her against the cage whenever she can, trying to dive at an ankle, dive at a leg, and just try to wear the clock out. But I really don't see the greatest success with her takedown here. or her grappling here, or getting to the ground here. And it's not like she's the craftiest, like, she's not one of the fighters that's going to go for a single, turn the pike, hop on your back, and backpack you. She's not that crafty of a grappler. And her gas take isn't even good. And matter of fact, she's not even that great of a submission threat, so, like, what do? She's a solid fighter, but she has to flesh out her game a lot. And hey, she's still a developing fighter, stuff could change. But Kang Wang is still a developing fighter, but all I could do is go based off your performances. And I think Wang addresses the grappling, starts to stalk her, break her down. I think she stops her in the early or mid stage of the second round. So, in this one, I got Kang Wang via second round TKO. Now, for the next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Said Nurmagomedov versus Javid Basharat. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go low confidence Javid Basharat to beat Said Nurmagomedov. Yeah, I think Basharat overall is the better wrestler, better grappler. Though initially Nurmagomedov could be the better fighter. Initially, he could be the better fighter overall initially. But the thing with Said Nurmagomedov is that the gas tank is not there, and maybe the heart's not there as well. Maybe it's more than just the gas tank. Maybe it's the heart as well. But it's not there. As we saw in the Bryce Mitchell fight, he looked amazing, like he just dominated Bryce Mitchell. Then he could fade. And I don't think that's the only fight that he faded. I think it's been at least 2 other fights that he has faded in. Like, he came out looking great early, and then he just faded, and his opponent either stopped him or decisioned him. And Javid Basharat's a smart fighter. He has great IQ. And I feel like where Basharat's biggest weakness is probably his chin. That's probably his biggest weakness, at least at this level, is his chin. It is not like Said Nurmagomedov has heavy hands. His hands not really heavy too much. And it's really his kicks that are his heaviest. That's to the body. I don't feel like Javid has a weak body. And also I think Javid's a smart fighter, so he doesn't have to necessarily engage as much early. Like I said, he's going to keep the pressure, but he doesn't have to be on him like a blanket, early. He just got to keep the threat there. Keep Said Nurmagomedov working. And again, keep the presence of the pressure there. And Said Nurmagomedov is going to start to, his gas tank going to start to dip over the course of the fight. And then Javid could capitalize in the second half of the second round, or maybe even early in the second round, and then especially the third round. It just started to become a little bit more, again, probably more aggressive with the wrestling and grappling in that second round, especially in the third round, and just capitalize on the fading Nurmagomedov. Again, we have seen Nurmagomedov out wrestle, we have seen Nurmagomedov fade, we have seen all these things, and I think Javid has the ability and experience and IQ to do all these things and capitalize on Said Nurmagomedov. I think he has all the abilities and capabilities to capitalize on a very clear flaw in Nurmagomedov's game. Very clear weakness that has been utilized to victory against Nurmagomedov many times now. So, I think Javid will keep striking pretty clean, mixing the wrestling, look to wear down Nurmagomedov, then grind him out to a decision here. So, in this one, I got Javid Basharat via decision. Now, to the next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, we got Bruna Brasil versus Caitlin Souza. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence Bruna Brasil to beat Caitlin Souza. So Caitlin Souza has the power, but that's about it. I feel like Bruna Brasil has a better Muay Thai. She has a better clinch game. She has a better strikes. She's longer. She's more technical. So just barring that, landing that big shot, I think Bruna Brasil should be the landing more consistent shots. And it's also like Bruna Brasil is like this long pillow kicker. Bruna Brasil has heavy strikes as well. So I think she'll be able to utilize that length, utilize that reach, utilize the fact that she's the more technical striker with the larger arsenal. Land kicks from a distance, land her strikes from a distance, keep her long strikes out there. When Caitlin Souza looks to close the distance, put her in the plum, land knees to the body, and really just batter her. But I do see this competitive fight. Bruna Brasil probably landing hard shots, landing more consistent shots. Caitlin Souza landing heavy shots, but not consistently. But again, like, she's probably applying a lot of pressure. And you never know with these judges. Sometimes they favor this, favor that. So again, it could be that type of fight where, like, Bruna Brasil clearly outlanded her 15 strikes. She clearly had her busted up. Caitlin Souza was pressuring and swinging, but how much was really landing on arms, landing on air. But some judges be like, oh, she was the aggressor. So again, it could be that type of fight. I don't really feel no great confidence in this one, but I do feel like overall Bruna Brasil is clearly the better fighter in my opinion. But yeah, I think she'll be able to land cleaner, flusher shots, and that should get her hand raised in a decision victory. Cleaner, flusher shots, and more consistent, and that should get her hand raised. So, in this one, I have Bruna Brasil via decision. Now, to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, we got Alex Morono versus Daniil Donchenko. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence Daniil Donchenko to beat Alex Morono. Confidence could be a little bit higher, but again, Donchenko is just a guy, just getting his feet wet in the UFC, so no need to put no great confidence in him. Morono's a veteran. You know, he has shown IQ like 2 times in his like 15, 16 fights in the UFC, and he's even admitted that he'd rather, you know, have a fun fight than win a boring fight, and that definitely shows in his career. But yeah, I think it's not like Morono. Again, Morono don't really use his IQ that often. He doesn't use his full ability that often. He just kind of dumps himself down just for the thrill of it, pretty much. So I can't really get behind him here. Coming off a loss, I think a knockout loss at that, and against a striker at that. My biggest issue with Donchenko, again, the inexperience and the cardio. I feel like he can kind of fade in fights, and that could be a bad sign against a guy like Morono, who is a veteran, if it goes long. But I think Donchenko was able to stop Morono. I'm gonna say like second round. Again, he's just a much sharper striker, especially early. Morono's not the sharpest striker. Doesn't really have no defense. There to be hit. And I think Danny Donchenko is going to be there to capitalize on the lack of defense of Morono. And, you know, look to pick him apart and put him out. And I'm saying like early second round TKO for Danny Donchenko. Just really chewing Morono up. Morono not using his full ability, not even looking to use his black belt, not really trying to set no takedowns up. Just out there swinging big loopy shots and slappy kicks. And Danny Donchenko just digging into him, chopping him up, and then put him out early second round. So in this one, I have Danil Donchenko via second round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the light heavyweight division, we got Dustin Jacoby versus Julius Walker. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence Dustin Jacoby to beat Julius Walker. Yeah, Julius Walker seems like a pretty solid talent, but this is I feel like a bad matchup. But hey, it is what it is. And yeah, after his last performance, his stocks definitely plummeted a lot. I mean, that he could definitely turn it all around with a win here, and I feel like he has the ability, but it does seem very rushed. Like, I feel like after the last fight, you know, he should have took a step down. I mean, not even a step down, but maybe a small step up, not a major step up. And the fact you get touched by a mediocre striker like that on the feet and hurt and had to, you know, barely crawl past him. In a fight that should have been a highlight reel win for you, it turned out to be a stream low light, a fight that, matter of fact, it's better you even have. Like, you got the fight, you got the win bonus and stuff. But in reality, long term, it seemed like a fight that you shouldn't even, you know, if you could have raced that out of history, you should. But yeah, Julius Walker, a pretty roll-rounded fighter. Seemed like he has a lot of talent. I think he's still pretty young at that too. Only 26 years old. But to go from that fight and look at terrible as you did to go to fight Dustin Jacoby, who's one of the better strikers in the weight class, former Glory ranked kickboxer, it don't seem like it's gonna be a good. It's gonna play out well for you. I'm not counting him out. That's why it's low confidence. But yeah, Jacoby has shown pretty solid takedown defense over recent years, though, in this stint in the UFC. I think early in the past, like, you know, his first stint in the UFC, his wrestling defense wasn't that good. Maybe in Bellator, his wrestling defense wasn't as good as it is now. But this definitely the second stint in the UFC, his takedown defense has been pretty solid. And it's not like Walker's some great takedown artist or some great grappler. So Jacoby should be able to address the takedown and the grappling of Walker. And then on the feet, Julius Walker's defense looked very questionable last fight. His striking offense didn't even look that sharp in his last fight. So Jacoby should be able to address the grappling. He's the much sharper striker. We've seen Walker get touched multiple times in the last fight. Get close to finish even in his last fight. I just feel like Walker, you know, gonna put up a good test for good fight for like a round. But Jacoby still chopping his leg up, chewing him up, definitely winning the first round. And then probably mid-second round, just find the button, put him out second round. So in this one, I got Dustin Jacoby via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got John Matsumoto versus Farid Basharat. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go low confidence Farid Basharat to beat John Matsumoto. So I feel like Farid Basharat is the better overall fighter, to be honest. But I don't feel like his edge in any particular area is so great, or his edge overall is so great, or the stylistic matchup is so great. I feel like it's a stylistic matchup where both guys pretty much can do it all, but they're not like so amazing in one area. So it's not like Farid has such a huge gap in the striking, you know, or this huge gap in the grappling. So it's like a fight where it's either guys fight to win. I just feel like Basharat has the higher fight IQ as well. Matsumoto might be a little bit more flashy in his work, but Basharat is more textbook, more clean, more economical, and I think that's where he's going to win. I think he'll pick his shots better. Matsumoto going to try to do flashy shots and land big shots, and Farid Basharat's not really going to be there to be hit. Basharat's not a guy that can be in the pocket, trading and swing with you. And so Matsumoto will be looking for these big shots, these big spinning wheel kicks, these big spinning back kicks, and Basharat's not really going to be there playing with him so much. I'm not saying that Matsumoto won't land some of these shots. He will probably land them, but again, these are not shots that are high accuracy. They're flashy. They look good, but even against probably the C-tier competition, these shots don't land at a high accuracy or a high clip. Whereas Basharat, he works by the jab, he lands clean shots, he plays a little leg kicks, he plays, he fights off of. Matsumoto kind of has. I'm not saying that Matsumoto's purely high risk, high reward type fighter. He's not. But his shots do lean more to flashy shots, whereas Basharat leans more to, again, the textbook stuff. And also, I feel like Basharat has the bigger gas tank here. So, again, I feel like he'll be more economical. And when it needs be, he'll push more and work harder for the takedown, ultimately be able to outwork Matsumoto and fight smarter than Matsumoto here. Fight more economical. Again, have the higher accuracy, the higher percentile strikes, the higher percentile grappling. And that's what will get him his victory here. So, in this one, I have Farid Basharat via decision. Now, for our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, we have Mikhail Oleksiejczuk versus Marc-Andre Barriault. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go average confidence Mikhail Oleksiejczuk to beat Marc-Andre Barriault. So, average confidence Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Barriault, again, has never shown great wrestling offense, and I feel like that's pretty much been the biggest issue in Oleksiejczuk's career. Barriault also is not the greatest, one-punch guy or the greatest explosive guy. He's more like a slow cooker. And I don't even feel like none of the stuff that Barriault has presented in his career has been, really Oleksiejczuk's issue. Oleksiejczuk has lost to solid grapplers for the most part, particularly bigger grapplers, particularly. And we had like one or two losses to like a explosive striker, kind of. Again, Barriault's not like an explosive striker. He's a slow cooker. Hasn't really ever shown any great takedown offense. If anything, Barriault has had issues with grapplers as well in his career. Like, they've been to take him down and dominate him on the ground. I think at one point he had got, taken down the most times in middleweight history in one fight against the Iron Turtle, I think. I don't know if I'm right, but it was up there. It was either the most takedowns in middleweight history, maybe even the most takedowns. No, it's not, because the most takedowns period in UFC was Khabib versus, what's his face, little former Black Zillion guy. But, as far as middleweight, I think that was the middleweight record against Iron Turtle where he got taken down like 16, 18 times. So, again, the grappling is not on Barriault's side. If anything, Oleksiejczuk and Loki might have better wrestling than Barriault right now. And on the feet, Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is the pressuring fighter. He's the better striker. He can be that guy that can do what has been done to Barriault. Go out there early, apply the pressure, and put Barriault out early. And I think that's what he'll do. I can see second round, but I'll say first round. Because that's been, as far as when Barriault has been stopped, it's typically been the first round, seemingly, as far as in the striking. And Mikhail Oleksiejczuk seems like rejuvenated at the Fighting Nerds, coming off two great performances. And I think he'll be able to apply that pressure, put the volume on Barriault, put him on the back foot, and put him away early via TKO. So, in this one, I got Mikhail Oleksiejczuk via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, we got Jailton Almeida versus Rizvan Kuniev. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence Rizvan Kuniev to beat Jailton Almeida. So Almeida is an amazing grappler, but the other side of his game he just really has not allowed himself to flesh it out. I don't know what he's doing in the gym, but in the cage, he has only really utilized his striking when he had to. Like, the wrestling and grappling wasn't going the way he wanted to, so he had to let his hands go. Like, he has power, he has great athleticism, and like he's definitely a guy that can do it all, to be honest. Like, his ceiling is extremely high, but you got to get out of your comfort zone to be as great as you can truly be. And as long as he just throwing front kicks and just diving at ankles, like I said, it'll get him up there. He might lose this fight. He might win this fight. It could definitely get him to a title fight. But as far as getting him to a belt and winning that title fight, it's going to be harder when you're not as fleshed out as you can be. Like I said, Jailton Almeida, with his ability, his frame, and his natural gifts, even had half the striking that he had grappling, he might be the dark. Matter of fact, he could clearly be the darkest of this division. Like, his grappling, no one in this division really has his grappling, to be honest. So imagine him fully committed to heavyweight and then actually having striking. Like, this guy could be a beast. Like, and again, actually committed to it. Because I feel like the way he is right now, he could still go to 205 if he wanted. I feel like he's still on the fence. If he really, put his weight up, he would have submitted Derek Lewis. But I feel like the thing that stopped him from submitting Derek Lewis was the fact that this guy's still really a light heavyweight. But yeah, the size better. He probably would have submitted Curtis Blades if he was a true heavyweight, like a true heavyweight. Like, I can no longer go make light heavyweight. Like, I fully put the mask on and whatnot. But yeah, a lot of talent, Almeida. but again, not fully tapping into it. And I feel like Rizvan Kuniev is the more well-rounded fighter. I feel like he should be able to address the grappling enough. It's a big if, but if Kuniev can stuff the takedowns Almeida, Kuniev definitely has the much more fleshed out striking. I definitely think he has the better gas tank. You know, just purely relying on grappling and not being able to get it. You know, it's going to be a mental fatigue and a physical fatigue. And, yeah, I'll go decision here, Kuniev. I think Almeida's takedowns early, you know, will be something Kuniev will have to address and deal with early, maybe even give up a couple. But ultimately, I think Kuniev can address it. You know, I think he'll be the pressure Almeida, break him down, you know, force him to just, like, again, fight on the back foot and have to try to find a plan B, but again, just not have a fleshed out striking game enough and just out there just throwing, you know, big shots and missing and throwing front kicks and missing and just diving at ankles. And Kuniev eventually, as the fight goes on, starts to stuff the takedowns. Almeida starts to pull guard. You know, the typical grappler approach when the fight's not going that way. Pulling guard, looking exhausted, on the back foot, kind of running a little bit, throwing big shots. Not as the fight goes on, they're not landing, the takedown's not landing, Kuniev landing big shots. But Almeida, you know, is able to survive, again, because he's pulling guard or diving at ankles. But as the fight goes on, the takedowns aren't being secured. Any real successive offense is not really happening on Almeida's side. Kuniev the one landing shots, sprawling, landing ground and pound. But, again, not able to get the finish because, again, Almeida is really at that point fighting a defensive fight and not really giving him much to deal with. But Kuniev being the only one, again, really landing effective, consistent damage. And that gets his hand raised in the decision victory over Almeida here. So, in this one, I got Rizvan Kuniev via decision. Now, to our next fight, we have in our co-main event in the flyweight division, we got Amir Albazi versus Kyoji Horiguchi. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go average confidence Kyoji Horiguchi to beat Amir Albazi. So, Horiguchi's the much faster fighter. He's the much sharper striker. Loki might even be the better grappler. Albazi's not even a power puncher. I feel like if Albazi had like a good counter game or had, you know, notable power, you know, this kind of make it a little bit harder. He does have solid grappling, but again, he don't have no particularly great offensive takedowns, no particularly great submission ability. So yeah, I think Horiguchi, I feel like this pretty much like a Brandon Moreno fight again. Dealing with a sharper, faster striker who's more accomplished, also has grappling as well, will be able to address the grappling of Albazi. You know, if he just be sharper and pick Albazi apart on the feet. But Albazi is tough, he is durable, hard to put away. But again, I kind of see like a pretty much a similar fight to the Moreno fight, to be honest. And with left rounds, so the likelihood of a finish is not that high. Like Albazi will come in good condition, he'll come in well prepared, but just doesn't seem to have the overall ability he needs or the particular abilities he needs to really win this fight, in my opinion. Like I think he'll make it competitive enough, but Horiguchi would just be too fast, too sharp, and just be picking apart on the feet for the majority large part of that 15 minutes to a decision victory. So in this one, I have Kyoji Horiguchi via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Mario Bautista versus Vinicius Oliveira. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'll go low confidence Vinicius Oliveira to beat Mario Bautista. And I'm not going to beat around the bush too much with this one. I could talk 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but I'm going to try to make it 2-3 minutes, if even that. But yeah, low confidence Oliveira to beat Bautista. I feel like Bautista has the higher fight IQ. I feel like he's the better tactician. He's the better MMA fighter. But he's not the better fighter. I feel like that's Oliveira. I feel like at times Bautista, his controller could turn off. I feel like he can have these mental lapses in fight, and that can cause him to get stopped early, or just fade in fights, or dip off. And this is 5 rounds with a guy like Vinicius Oliveira. Oliveira, controller is on the whole time. It might not be the prettiest work. It might not be what your coach would want you to do. But Oliveira goes out there, he fights, he scraps for every single inch. Every single grain of rice, he goes out there and he scraps. Like he'll apply the pressure, like he'll leave that chin open, but again, Bautista's not really a big puncher. He's more of a technical fighter. He'll mix it in grappling, he'll mix it striking. He probably can get some finishes, but again, not a consistent finisher. But a consistent guy that maybe is not as mentally strong as he would want himself to believe, is in as much as maybe some people backing him would want him to believe. I feel like he mentally checks out on a lot of these fights. He mentally declines in a lot of these fights. And against Oliveira with 5 rounds, that's a bad day. And I think Oliveira basically stops in the fight. I think Bautista goes off to a good start. You know, he's doing the textbook things. He's having the great game plan. The game plan is going well. But Oliveira not even caring for his game plan. Like, you're doing well, but Oliveira, he's not really out there. I mean, he wins decisions at times, but Oliveira don't really fight as a guy that's trying to win decisions. He fights as a guy that's trying to kill you. Like, he fights like he's on the street and it's life or death. That's how Oliveira fights. He's out there throwing the kitchen sink at you. Even if he's gassed, even if he's broken rib, he'll fight, you know, as long as he's conscious, as long as he's in the fight. That's the difference. I feel like Bautista's scrapper, he's a warrior, but I feel like he's more of an MMA fighter than a fighter fight. Like, you know, you can tell the difference. Like, when a guy comes down to, like, who's going to be battling, like, you broke a toe, you broke a shin, or whatever, and you still going to keep fighting through it, like, trying to win. You broke a hand, you still throwing a hand. You're throwing elbows now, or something like that. I don't feel like Bautista's that type of fighter, like, when it comes down to it. And Oliveira is. Again, it also doesn't help that Bautista mentally checks out in some of these fights, and I think Oliveira is just going to keep pushing. Bautista's game plan probably working well, but Oliveira, again, never cared for the game plan, never cared for the decision. You know, you get a takedown, he's going to just work his way back to his feet. You on the feet, he'll be doing unorthodox strikes, trying to time your entries, trying to catch you with the knee, intercepting you, or catch you with uppercuts, catch you with a spinning back kick. Like I said, he's going to be trying to look like, it might fail 20 times, but he's going to keep going for it, keep pushing, and stay in your face. A big physical presence, and probably dig into the body as well. It's constantly in Bautista's face, whether Bautista getting the takedown, having success or not. And it's constantly putting the pressure on him and constantly throwing heat at him and landing heat. And eventually, Oliveira, like, he's going to try and try again, like the little train that could. Thomas the train. And then once he starts to land, Bautista is going to start to mentally check out, be on the back foot, and Oliveira is going to start to take over and put him away in the third round. I think late in the third round via TKO. So, in this one, I got Vinicius Oliveira via third round TKO. And so that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Bautista versus Oliveira. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.